One of these men is the famous Little Joe, mascot of the United States Armed Forces during the Korean War. What is your name, please?
My name is Joseph Anthony. My name is Joseph Anthony.
My name is Joseph Anthony.
Only one of these young men is the real Joseph Anthony. The other two are imposters and will try to fool this panel. Darren McGavin, Dina Merrill, Johnny Carson, and Betty White on To Tell the Truth with your host, Bud Collyer.
Thank you, good evening, and welcome once again to Tell the Truth. Brought to you this week by Salem Cigarettes. Darren, nice to have you with us on the panel.
Thank you, Bud. It's a pleasure to be here.
And panel, good evening to you.
Hello,
Good evening, Bud.
And Merry Christmas, I might add.
Yes, Merry Christmas to all of you. And will you open up your envelopes and take out your affidavit cards for the first time tonight and follow along as I read this first one. I, Joseph Anthony, was an orphan just 10 years old when the communist troops poured across the border into South Korea. I joined the hordes of refugees who were caught between the advancing armies. I finally blundered into the middle of a battle and was hit by shrapnel. I lay bleeding and unconscious for 18 hours until I was found by some American soldiers. Eventually, I recovered in a GI hospital and went to work for the American Army. I worked for several different Army divisions in the front lines. I was known as Little Joe. Later in Japan, I was taken over by my friend and advisor, Air Force Chaplain Father Donald Ware. Through his untiring efforts, I was finally admitted to this country. I am now a senior in college and a United States citizen. Above all, I have realized a dream born in the barracks and mess halls of Korea when, as a child, I listened to the American soldiers talk about home, a place that until recently I had never known. Signed, Joseph Anthony. Quite comfortable, gentlemen? Very well, and let's begin this first round, finding out which one of these gentlemen, who all claim to be Joseph Anthony, Korean orphan, now an American citizen, which one is the real one? And we start this questioning with Betty White. Betty?
Thank you, Bud. Well, 1, 2, and 3, welcome aboard. Anyway, whichever one of you it is. Number 3, what is the dividing line between North and South Korea? Or what was it? Number 2, who was in charge of the American forces?
That was General Douglas MacArthur.
Number 1, do you agree with that during the Korean War?
Yes, I do.
Number 3, how long did it take Father Ware to get you admitted to this country?
About 1 year.
From the time the work was started. Number 2, how did you go about getting your citizenship?
I lived there for 5 years, and then I applied for the citizenship.
Number 1, what was the hardest question you had to answer?
About what?
It's too late, I'm afraid. The bell rang. Thank you.
Gavin. Darren, I'm calling you Gavin McGarren. This is
Yes, I know. It gets a little difficult.
It
but
does.
Even
Darren?
my wife says that sometimes. It's all right. Yes, number 1. What exactly was Pork Chop Hill?
Pork Chop Hill was a hill in South Korea in which was very difficult to take. It was taken over by the Communist China and was what the UN forces tried to push it back.
Do you agree with that, number 2?
Yes. Besides the the shape.
Was it ever captured by the Chinese communists?
Yeah, it's shaped like a pork chop. That's why called Pork Chop Hill.
It's called what?
Pork Chop Hill.
Said it was shaped like a pork chop.
Like pork chop. Yes, that's right. How old were you? You were 10 years old. How old are you today?
21.
You're 21. How old are you, sir? Number 3.
21.
Well, I guess number 1's 21, too.
You find that out about this show, Darren. Dina?
Number 3, what was the name of the officer who adopted you, or the soldier who adopted you, who found you in Korea?
In Korea?
Yes.
No particular one, just American soldiers generally.
Generally.
Yes.
I see. Number 2?
Yes, same
What?
thing.
Any particular regiment?
I think that's 24th Infantry.
24th?
24th Infantry Division.
24th Infantry Division.
Right.
Number 1, what is the name of the river in Korea that our bombers were not allowed to cross?
I believe that's the Yellow River.
Thank you.
Johnny?
Number 2, where was the famous landing made?
In Chao. In Chao.
In Chao. Number 3, would you agree to that?
Yes, I agree.
What is the capital, number 1, of South Korea?
The capital city is Seoul.
Number 2, what is the capital city of North Korea?
Pyongyang.
Number 1, what is the capital of North Korea?
Same. Pyongyang.
Number 3?
I agree.
On that note of agreement, by the challenges at least, we come to the end of our question period, and I ask you now, please mark your ballots. All questioning time is gone, and also no consultation as you mark, please. And vote for number 1, number 2, or number 3. Our team of challengers, as always, will receive $250 for every incorrect vote. All ballots marked. Darren, for whom did you vote this first round?
I voted for number 2. I have a feeling that his English possibly could be a little better, and that it smacks a little more authentically of a newly arrived citizen to our country.
Okay. Dina?
Well, Bud, I'm puzzled, but I voted for number 3 because number 1 hesitated over his name up there. Number 2's English isn't as good as number 3's, and I thought perhaps with spending all that time since the age of 10 with GIs, he might have learned pretty good English by now.
You can't use that kind of English.
Took the words right out of my mouth. Johnny?
Oh, I'm going to split up the voting. I'm going to vote for number 1. I really don't know. Whoever it is probably the only person here who knows the second chorus of the Star-Spangled Banner.
Betty, your vote, please.
I voted for number 3. Dina and I were saying before the show that every time you form an original hunch and you tout yourself off at the last minute, you're wrong. So I'm going to go with my original hunch, which I formed up there, number 3.
Okay, let's see what do we have now. We have 2, 1, and 1. Our 2 flankers there. Dina, you're the one on 3. You and Betty, the ladies on 3, and 2 and 1 split between Darren and Johnny. All right, let's check it out now, since we have our own particular moment of truth to resolve all this and find out which one of these gentlemen is the real one. And actually, I can think of no one better qualified to tell you which one of them is the real one, the real Joseph Anthony, than his friend, advisor, and former legal guardian, Father Donald Ware. Father, would you come up from the audience, please, sir? Good evening, and welcome, Father. Very nice to have you with us. Would you go over there and pick out the real Joseph Anthony? You certainly know him.
Oh, come on.
Joseph Anthony.
Father, after all those years of being his friend, guardian, and guide, I understand you and Joe still see each other quite often.
Oh, yes, quite often, because Joe is a senior student at Quincy College in Quincy, Illinois, and that's the same school in which I am teaching at the present time.
I see. As a matter of fact, didn't I hear that he's written a book, The Rascal and the Pilgrim, or something?
Yes, it's been published for a year now.
Great, good. I'd like to ask you one question. I'm curious as to why you gave little Joe the name of Joseph Anthony.
Well, Joe is named after the patron of lost persons and objects, St. Anthony. Joe is a little lost boy, and we found him.
Joe, I'm sure Christmas must mean something real extra special to you.
Yes, it does, because especially remembering that surprise attack we had in Korea during the Korean conflict on Christmas Day, and also remembering the peace and happiness that I now have, I feel certainly grateful to Americans abroad and here in the United States.
Father, thank you for hand-picking such a fine new United States citizen. And I'm sure that the audience, and panel, and all of us concerned with this show join in wishing you the very happiest of New Years with the richest of blessings.
Thank you very much.
So let's find out about your 2 sidekicks here now. Number 1, you got a vote. What is your real name and what do you really do?
My name is Chung Yu Chang. I'm a student at Columbia University, and I have never been to Korea in my life.
And number 2, may we have your real name and what you really do?
My name is Wei Chang Bai.
I was born in China. I'm a waiter at the Ruby Food Restaurant.
Well, we're mighty happy to have you all here with us tonight. You certainly joined in giving us a good time. And in checking the score, we find that there were 2 correct and 2 incorrect at $250 each. Those votes total up to a grand total of $500. From Salem Cigarettes and a carton of Salem's for each of you. Thank you, gentlemen, very much. Welcome again to the United States Show. Good night and God bless you. And now let's meet our next team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is Raymond House.
My name is Raymond House.
My name is Raymond House.
Again, panel, will you follow along with your copies of this affidavit? I, Raymond House, have been a professional law enforcement officer all my adult life. In 1953, while a police officer, I attended the FBI National Academy in Washington, D.C. I am most proud of my present assignment, however, where I carry on in the tradition of Bat Masterson and Wyatt Earp. I am the present-day Marshal of Dodge City, Kansas. Signed, Raymond. Panel, here we have 3 very stalwart gentlemen, you'll agree, each claiming to be Raymond House, Marshal of Dodge. And we start this cross-examination with our own particular marshal, Johnny Carson. Marsh?
Number 1, is this the regular outfit that you wear in Dodge City?
Yes.
Number 2, what's an M.O.? M.O.
Again.
What is an M.O.?
M.O., from my experience, an M.O. in Dodge City is not used.
Number 3, what's an M.O.?
Modus operandi.
Number 1, what's an M.O.?
Modus operandi.
Number 3, what does the term pigeon drop mean?
By golly, it'd take quite some time to explain it. It means a couple of people picking out a pigeon and then trying to make them for the money or whatever other property you might have by a trick, larceny by trick.
Number 2, do you agree to that?
Yes, setting it up.
Number 1, how's Chester? Somebody had to ask.
From your questions, Johnny, you haven't always been a performer, have you? Betty White.
Well, we each have our own little personality. I'm an animal lover myself. Number 3, what is the Badger game?
Ma'am, I think that has to do with a hotel room or a motel room.
That's enough. That straightens us out. Number 2, how long is the course at the FBI Academy?
3 months.
Number 1, who was in charge at the time that you were there?
Edgar Hoover.
I beg your pardon?
Hoover.
Number 3, do you agree with that? Was it Mr. Hoover in charge of your particular branch, your course at the FBI Academy?
Mr. Rogers was in charge, ma'am.
Thank you. Number 1, what's the closest town to Dodge City? South?
Mineola.
Number 3, do you agree with that?
You bet.
Darren?
Yes, why was the 45 caliber pistol invented, number 1?
It carries a big slug. It'll stop a man.
Thank you very much. Number 2, why was the 45 caliber specifically invented?
The striking power, it'll spin a man clear off his feet.
Number 3, specifically, why was it invented?
I don't know.
Okay. None of them are cops. All right. Would a 375 Magnum, number 2, would a 375 Magnum effectively penetrate a motor block of an automobile?
Yes, indeed.
Number 3, do you believe that?
What sort of car you drive?
Number 3, do you believe that?
I have heard that it would. I haven't.
Number 1, do you believe that?
I believe it would.
Oh, boy. The caliber used by Wyatt Earp in Dodge City, the gun used by Wyatt Earp in Dodge City, was it breech-loaded or was it loaded through your chamber? Number 3.
You mean the shotgun or the handgun?
No, I mean the handgun.
It was loaded by a loading gate on the right side of the frame.
Thank you. Number 2, what do you say to that?
Right.
Number 1?
I say Dina Merrill.
Yeah.
And I say Mr. McGavin's done a lot of westerns.
No, I collect guns.
Oh. Number 1, do you have some kind of a belt with things on it that goes with your line of duty? I mean,
Yes.
like handcuffs and things? Well, what's on that belt?
I carry ammunition in the belt.
Anything else?
2 guns.
What kind of guns?
45s.
I see. Number 2, when you were in Washington, where did you live? What was your address?
I stayed out at the academy place for the fellows who left the wives' home out near Fort Myer.
Near Fort Myers.
Afraid that's it. Wives never got a chance in this one, not even to vote. But you're going to have a chance to vote, so will you do so right now, please? Mark your ballots without any consultation. And as you do so, vote for number 1, number 2, or number 3. Everybody set?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. Mark it up, Dean, as quickly as you can.
All right.
Hurry up. Can't take any more time.
All right, there.
Darren, for whom did you vote?
I voted for number 3 because of that cool, steely look in his eye.
Dina, which one?
Funny, that's the same reason I voted for number 1.
Johnny.
I can't find my card. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I voted for number 3 because of the pigeon drop.
Yeah.
So it's an old con game.
And Betty.
And I voted for number 3 because I don't know the first thing about guns, but that long dialogue about you're loaded from the wagon on the side or whatever it was, that sold me.
Loaded from the wagon on the side. Only wagon I ever heard of. You ride side saddle.
Or gate or whatever it was. That was it.
Okay, away we go now to find out who's right and who's wrong as we learn which one of these 3 gentlemen is the present Marshal of Dodge City. Will the real Raymond House please stand up?
Oh, no.
Oh, boy, they had a real good act going there, didn't they?
Oh, that was marvelous.
They almost faked this all out. Is that true you have a collection of guns, Darren?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah. I have a few handguns, yeah.
We got to find out about how Johnny knew so much about the badger game and so forth. Well, anyway, let's learn about
You
the
get
other 2
pinched off
gentlemen.
enough, it happens, you know.
Number 1, would you tell us your real name? You got to vote. What do you really do?
My name is Leland Schaefer. I'm a builder in Rockland County, and I spent 11 years in the New York Giants backfield.
And number 2, may we have your real name and what you really do, please?
I'm Chips Woodruff from Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I'm a colonel in the United States Air Force.
Well, we check over our score here. We find that with 3 right that time, panel was pretty sharp, and only 1 wrong, but that's $250 from Salem, gentlemen. And, of course, on your way out, you get a carton of Salem's, too. And if you've had a good time, we've certainly had a good time. It's been a great joy having you with us. Good night, and God bless you. Now, panel, let's meet our 3rd team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is Indrani. My name is Indrani. My name is Indrani.
Panel, will you follow along once again? You've had a good entrancing look, so follow as I read from this affidavit. I, Indrani, started dancing as a young girl in my native city of Madras, India. My mother was a famous dancer and a pioneer in the revival of the ancient Indian temple dances. I have carried on this revival of classical dances, some of them centuries old and some nearly extinct. I have performed throughout Asia and Europe and have just concluded a tour of this country with my troupe. During my career, I have danced before many world leaders, including Nehru, Khrushchev, Queen Elizabeth, President Eisenhower, and more recently, President and Mrs. Kennedy. Signed, Indrani. Quite comfortable, ladies? All right, then let's begin. And I can't think of anyone better to start ferreting out which one of these ladies, who all claim to be Indrani, dancer from India, than our guest, Darren McGavin. Darren?
Oh, boy, 3 more lovely Indian girls you'll never see in your life. All right. Can I ask them to do something?
No.
Oh, that's not fair.
Later, maybe, but...
Later, maybe. All right. Well, I don't know what started this thing, really. What is the derivation of the dances in India?
Which number?
Number 1, thank you. Number 1, what are the derivations of the Indian temple dances?
We have Bharatanatyam
What?
and Kathakali and the Atam, which is a temple dance.
Uh-huh. Who is Kali? No, number 2, who is Kali?
Kali is one of our goddesses.
Which one?
Well, to describe her goes into a very long explanation because she's supposed to be evil.
Uh-huh, I see. Thank you.
How did you happen to pick just that one?
Well, I don't know.
Dina.
Number 3, do you have musical accompaniment in your dances?
Yes, we do.
What kind of accompaniment? What instruments?
Well, we have string instruments and percussion and vocal singing also with our dancers.
I see. Number 2, can you tell me the name of the stringed instruments?
Yes, we have the sitar, we have the tambura.
What is tempura? Is a stringed?
Yes, tambura is a tall one.
Yes.
And well, we have a few others. They're the 2 most important ones that we use for dancing.
I see. Number 1, how many members are there in your troupe?
7.
7.
Yes.
All women?
No, I'm the only woman. And the other 6 are men.
I see.
Johnny.
Well, I'm just not up on my ancient Indian temple dances lately, but it's been weeks, you know, since I've tried one. Number 2, what do you think of the twist? You like the twist?
I think it's very interesting, sir.
Uh-huh.
If I wasn't leaving tomorrow, I'd learn to do it myself.
No, number 1, do you belly dance? Is that a term is all right to use, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
How does belly dancing differ from what you do?
It's completely different. That's with the belly. We use more our hands and our neck.
Number 3, who is Mrs. Satsing? Mrs. Satsing? Yeah, that's all.
Betty.
Number 1, who are Sujata and Asoka?
Never heard of them.
Number 2, do you know?
Sir.
I beg your pardon?
2 dancers.
Number 3, do you agree with that?
Yes.
Number 1, it says you have carried on the revival of classical dances in India. Has this been of recent vintage? Did they almost get lost, the classical dances of India?
Yes, at one time. Yes.
And the revival has...
And there comes the bell that tells us the
Well-worded.
questioning period is over. Have you lost your question card, too, Johnny? All right,
had my
mark your
card.
ballots, if you will, please, now,
Kids
and
can't
mark
get along,
them
you can't play
without consultation. As you vote for number 1, number 2, or number 3. All minds made up, all ballots?
Oh, no.
This time you're having the hard time, Darren, huh? All right, for whom did you vote, Darren?
Yeah. Well, I'll give you my reasons, too, sure. Number 1 sits very straight. Number 2 is very pretty. And number 3 also sits straight. But number 1 got banglier jewelry and clothes, so I think number 1 is the swinger.
Dina.
Well, I'm with Darren. I go for number 1, too. But because of the way she moves her head when she talks, she looks like a dancer to me.
Johnny.
Well, it's a guess. I'm taking number 3 because she didn't know who Mrs. Satsing was.
Good reason.
Yes, I do. She's my sister. I promised to mention her name.
Well, you set that one up for him anyway, Betty. What is your vote?
Oh, I'm all by myself again. I vote for number 2 on the strength of Sujata and Asoka, who are very fine dancers also.
And so we go into the final denouement of this particular round, learning the truth, as we must always. It will out, and it will out now, as we learn which of these 3 ladies is the real dancer from India. So will the real Indrani please stand up? Thank you very much. Thank you.
It was so Each costume double-crossed me.
Let's check on the other 2. They're such lovely ladies. Number 1, you got the greatest number of votes. 2 of them, in fact. So what is your real name and what do you really do?
My name is Mrs. Tara Chadha, and I work for a very fine outfit in New York, the Catholic Relief Service. I'm the secretary there.
Thank you. And number 2, you got a vote. What is your real name and what do you really do?
My name is Chilindra Jones, and I am editorial receptionist for Time magazine.
Well, it was a great pleasure having you with us, and you did very well against the panel. Only one correct vote, that one by Johnny Carson. The other three were wrong. That means three incorrect at $250 each for the high total tonight. $750 coming your way, ladies, and I don't think you'll find it hard to take. It was a great pleasure having you on our show, and you will also receive from Salem Cigarettes a carton of Salem's. Happy Christmas season to you. Good night, and God bless you. All the time we have tonight, I have some facts in front of me here that might say to a lot of us that that's all the time we have if we're not more careful. Every 14 minutes, somebody else dies in a traffic accident. Now, traffic laws are put there for your and my safety, not to be defied or denied. So if you will obey traffic laws, and if you will also install seat belts, safety belts in your cars, you'll find both of these will cut down the tragedies that can occur otherwise with more and more cars on the road each year. So do your part. Be careful, be safe, and be alive. Darren, may I say it was a great pleasure having you with us tonight. I hope you'll come back again sometime.
I would love to. I think it's a marvelous game, and such delightful partners I've had here with Dina Merrill. Thank you, Dina, for sitting next to me.
A pleasure always.
And all of you, panel, it was a joy being with you, as it always is, at this Christmas season. My love to you. Thank you. Good night.
Merry Christmas to you.
And the R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company, makers of Salem cigarettes, again, extend to you the finest and most joyous wishes for the Christmas season and the happiest of New Year's. And, of course, they also remind you, as do I, tell the truth. Good night, everybody.
To Tell the Truth is a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production.
Morgan. Coming home to the Pete and Gladys household is like opening a Christmas present. You never know what you'll find. Next on most of these CBS television stations.
To Tell the Truth has been brought to you tonight by Salem, the cigarette that refreshes your taste. Johnny Olson saying good night for To Tell the Truth. This program was pre-recorded.